We forgot to start the recording lah, guys. After 8 months, it's a bit rusty, but it's okay. Let's just continue with our conversation. We were talking about COVID and the travel restrictions, but sorry, is that what you were saying?
Oh, I was saying because Kang was mentioning about the stance that Singapore is taking, whereby you're trying to live with COVID.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that I think majority of the countries, they are doing that stance, right?
No,
it's impossible to eradicate COVID anymore.
I think only like US. Like you look at countries like Hong Kong, right? Hong Kong actually, I think they cancelled their travel plans, like their travel bubble with Singapore because I think the governments are taking different stance from.
How much do you think the Chinese government is telling them no, don't open it up?
I have no idea, man.
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly.
Yeah.
In China, they are so restrictive. If the only vaccine they really recognize is Sinovac, and if you take Moderna, they still say you can't come into our country, which is pretty fucking crazy.
I think we have to, or at least like some big organization like maybe WHO, they have to come up with like a stance that everyone should look at taking. Because if some countries, I mean, for Singapore, of course, we want to open up, right? Because when we open up, I mean, we need the business from outside. Right? Singapore is very small, right? We are dependent on like our export revenue, import revenue, right? So we definitely have to open up. But then in my mind, okay, I'm not very well studied in this subject, but I feel that this stance, right, even when we open it up, right, how many countries are receptive to it? I mean, countries like New Zealand, Australia, they are more of like they want to have like 0 cases in their country. Once they have a few cases, they will start like locking down, all this kind of thing. So in that case, when will they be willing to open up to countries like Singapore when we are taking the stance of living with COVID, right? It means we don't mind having COVID because as long as we are vaccinated, we are sort of safe, right? Will countries accept that once they hit maybe like 80% vaccination for their country?
New Zealand is crazy, man. They detected 1 case, decided to lock the whole country down when they detected 1 case of coronavirus, which I think I read up this stat whereby like in Australia only like less than 50% of the people got vaccinated. I think like maybe 30%, and they don't really see, and that's because they kind of got rid and the cases are very low, so people don't see a benefit of getting the vaccine, which is very difficult for the government, you see. And it depends on the country. For Singapore, we have to open up most of our business, and the reason why we are all employed here is because the foreign companies, the MNCs are here. But if your domestic economy is strong enough to sustain by itself, like Australia, then I guess that is a more logical way to do it, especially if you are scared of the long-term side effects of COVID.
Then you look at Malaysia, where things are really getting bad.
Yeah.
Many thousand cases yesterday.
Yeah.
The actual pandemic is not even the coronavirus, it's their politicians, bro.
Yeah, true.
It's the power grab from the politicians. Do you see the memes where they made the many people are making new memes about the new Prime Minister of Malaysia? Like the Malaysians are not approving of this PM.
Right.
Yeah. It seems like every 8 months to a year they have a new election and a new PM.
FYI, Vijay is Malaysian.
I'm a Singaporean now, actually. Just converted 1-2 years ago. But yeah, because I was having a chat. Because when I was working for summer,
pull it a little bit, or you can see in a little bit more.
So when I was working for summer, I engaged with the Malaysia clients. So all of my clients actually tell me, right, the process whereby they detect COVID in Malaysia is so messed up, which is why the cases keep shooting up. So basically, right, when you go for the doctor, if you are tested positive for COVID, they send you home. And after that, when you come back after a week, right, they don't even test you anymore. They just say, oh, okay, you're free to go. Yeah. So one of my clients actually told me that. So I just think that the entire country is just bad.
I just feel sad for the people that, because they have no choice. Like the politicians are all there for the power grab, and you can't do anything really. Like you want a government that genuinely cares and tries to at least give off a feeling or vibe that they actually care about the coronavirus there, right? But over there, you can kind of tell everybody's just there.
They just gave up,
Yeah, you can't give up. You got to fend for yourself, really, lah.
Actually, do you think Singapore stands, right? Like, I mean, in a sense, Singapore's government is actually indirectly forcing you to take the vaccine, right? Under the guise that they are protecting you. I wouldn't say under the guise. I mean, it's true that they are protecting you, right? But they are indirectly forcing you to take vaccine because they separate the vaccinated group with the unvaccinated group, right? Like there are privileges to being vaccinated. What do you think of this way of doing things? Or if other countries should adopt it?
For me, is okay. There's the objectively and not giving any kind of like feeling of what I want to, of like giving a political stance, right, is that you can kind of see it coming. We really knew this day would come, right? This classic Singapore PAP style. They really signal to you like we may introduce measures that only fully vaccinated people can do. They really said that months before. So when they really say it now, everybody was like, yeah, it was about
Saw it coming.
But if you approach from a standpoint whereby you take a more liberal and outside the world stance, not liberal, sorry, a little bit more of a wide, take a step back, and you weren't Singaporean and you don't understand the practices of PAP, then you can kind of say,
It's draconian.
it's a little bit draconian. It's not as draconian as New Zealand per se, whereby they detected one case and locked the entire country down, but it's kind of infringing on people's rights to kind of just get on with their daily lives, right? Because this is something very personal. You put this into your own body, right?
Yeah.
Right. Who is going to bear the cost if, let's say, people that take the vaccine 20 years from now, 30 years from now have really increased rates of getting cancer, for example, or maybe have enlarged hearts, for example. Who's going to bear the cost? At the end of the day, the PAP can reassure you, the government can reassure you all they want. But nobody can tell.
Yeah.
If it happens, it happens, right?
I mean, this has always been Singapore.
Yeah.
Which is part of the reason why we became successful so quickly.
True.
Whereby the government are able to make fast decisions. But I actually think it's a good thing.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
I actually think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of number one, we trust the government.
Yeah.
Right. This is the most important point. Is like you trust the government, and at the same time, is we all have to understand that we are trading present day benefit for future risk, right? The risk of having side effects in the future, but right now, most of us are protected from a virus. So I guess it's a very fine balance between these two factors, and I think most people have kind of done the cost benefit in their head. What I don't like is some people that when you find out that somebody is against the vaccine, then they start to attack your personality,
I think
right?
they're right lah. You allow them to think the way, but I feel that there's one thing that I saw online which I think kind of makes sense lah. Is because I think a lot of countries there are shortage on like beds, right? ICU beds, those kind of things. And when people are seriously ill, like a lot of people they argue that they don't believe in the vaccine. They feel that coronavirus is a fraud, all these kind of things, right? But when they get it, they go and fight for ICU. And then people that get vaccinated and did their part in a sense, right? They don't get the beds or I think I saw someone's wife had cancer, but because of a lot of people that didn't believe in the vaccine and then they refused to take it, and then when they get the virus, right, they overload the healthcare system. And I think there's an argument that if you don't believe in the healthcare system, if you don't believe in what the doctors say, right, then when you get the virus, right, you'll get less priorities in the hospital because that's the path you chose, right? You cannot take these stunts and then put yourself at higher risk. But then when you get it, right, you take the space of someone that in a sense did their part. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's like a help me, help you. So like I've given you an option to stay clear of the bad side effects of COVID. And now that you did not take the vaccine, now you are having severe side effects. Now it's my duty to take care of you, and it's not. So then people feel it's a little bit unfair. But I guess the good thing now is they are going to start if you test positive for COVID and you don't have bad side effects, you can just stay at home. Right, which I think then is like kind of like we are back to like a normal flu. Right, you had the normal flu last time. You just stay at home also, right? There's no much difference, right? Which is good lah, in a sense. Okay, how much? Now that we are talking about, I think COVID is like still a really big thing like in Asian society. I think most of the other countries like the US it doesn't even happen anymore. Like sport events, full capacity. Festivals, full capacity. If it seems like the best time if you are young and you are willing to take the risk to be in the US right now because life is back to normal.
Truth.
UK actually I think UK deal with this issue very well. Initially they were one of the worst. Yeah, but now they've completely turned it around.
They're trying out the herd immunity stance, right? Whereby they have very high rates of vaccination. Let's try to open things up. Even if cases spike, what you actually really want to look at is the number of hospitalizations and severe side effects. So even if cases go up and if severe side effects goes down, means the vaccine is doing its job.
Right. I think that's the stance that Singapore is taking, right, going forward.
I think we kind of waited and we saw UK like doing it a little bit
doing
well.
then
Singapore is never the first one to kind of take this much risk unless we see other people which I think most Singaporeans are comfortable with, and now we kind of treat it like a part of our lives. And if somebody tests, like I remember back then when you had a friend that maybe would test positive for COVID, or you know a friend of a friend,
damn scared.
you'll be super worried, right?
Yeah.
Like that was like during last year, maybe May, June, during circuit breaker period.
Oh, it's been so long, but it feels so fast because there's nothing going on with your lives, right? It's like every day you work from home, you just stay at home every day. Lock down, you can't go out. But
I feel this will still go on for quite a while, especially with the mask.
I think the government did say that the mask is the last thing to go, something like that. If I remember correctly.
I want it to be the first thing to go.
Yeah, I really hate the mask.
I hate the mask.
I hate it.
The government kind of like every time they announce that Temasek will be giving out masks again, I was like, no, I do not want any more masks. Like, stop announcing that you're giving us masks. It means we gotta wear it for another 6 months to a year. It's like,
speaking of that, have you seen the recent article? One man was convicted. He sent to jail because he made use of his client's NRIC numbers.
To get the mask?
Yeah, to collected like 200 plus masks.
What the fuck?
What's he doing? Selling on Carousel? What do you
I have no idea. He collected like 200 plus masks.
I thought you were talking about the British guy that just got deported.
Oh, right. There are also another one.
No, what's up with this sovereign movement that is going on?
Yeah.
Like I remember when it first happened, then that lady that went to the market, where she then after that the law minister K. Shanmugam came out and said, if you want to be sovereign, you can, but then you cannot reap the benefits of living in a society because you're living by yourself, right? But if you want to be sovereign and you want to reap the benefits of, for example, going to the market where prices of vegetables are cheap because there are a lot of people in society and there's economies of scale, then you can't be sovereign. You live in a society. You have to be able to cooperate with the other members of society. It makes sense. Yeah, I think that was very reasonable of him. But that British guy, apparently, like his close family members were saying, like in the last couple of months his character has changed a lot, and he was starting to act very abnormally lah. Maybe I think that's the thing. During this COVID period, it has really driven a lot of people to their breaking point.
Yeah,
right, especially people that need to get out, need to move around, need to travel. Because Singapore, honestly, everywhere you look, is kind of looks the same.
Yeah, it's the same,
right? Oh yeah, haven't even introduced you guys because we haven't even started recording. So we have Kang. I think most of you will recognize him from the previous episodes, and we have Mr. Tan Wei Jie. I met him in hall. He's right now in NUS doing a final year, right? Yes. And then what ties all of us together were we stay in the same hall, and then we still keep in touch. We always discuss like sports stuff or some crazy shit like things that you're not supposed to see on WhatsApp, for example. Then we send to each other. But yeah, that's what ties us together. There was supposed to be a fourth guy here, Mr. Adrian Aduster or Aspina. He's not here today. He fell a little bit sick. So get well, Adrian. Hope we can have you on future episodes. But so today, how this came about was we wanted to talk about basketball, right, and the NBA. And there's not really an ongoing debate, but within our group there's a debate about who is the greatest of all time. I think we really touched upon this previously, but we had Kang, that his stance is MJ is the GOAT.
Always.
I think that is. Yeah, right. And then we have Wei Jie, Mr. Tan Wei Jie here that
LBJ,
he's about LeBron. He's on a LeBron
James.
LeBron crew. So we wanted to, just have a little session to kind of see whether we can actually reach what's it called, a verdict on who is the GOAT. So
MJ.
Let's take. So I'm going to give you give you each a little bit of your time to make your case, and then see whether we can. I would try to be I would think of the three of us, I'm the most objective.
I am the most objective.
Yeah, okay. That's not objective stance. I think I'm the most objective because I haven't really... if you will ask me who is the GOAT, I will still tell you, I think MJ is the GOAT in the modern era. Right? Okay. And LeBron is still writing his script. Right?
That's true. Right?
So I can't really say who is the GOAT. When LeBron's career is done and dusted, maybe then I can make a more fair decision. But Kang is all in on MJ. Which is all in on LeBron.
It's even greater of LeBron that he's already the GOAT, but he hasn't even ended his career.
But most people don't think he's the GOAT.
Okay, I think you should go first.
I feel there's always a 50-50 chance. Kang, you want to go first? Or?
No, it's okay. You can go. Okay, how about we set the premise of the argument first? Like, what are the things that make you feel that one person is the GOAT, and some of the things that you feel that we should exclude from the argument.
For me, the definition of a GOAT. Okay, because for Michael Jordan, it's always about his 6 new final wins, all this and that.
That's for casuals, bro.
Okay, I will hear what you have to say later. But for me, definition of a GOAT, put him anywhere, he will bring you championships. He will bring you to the finals. Come on, man, LeBron, 3 times final and 4 times final MVP in 3 different teams.
Okay, then we said like what like definitions lah. So some of the things that you look at is longevity, right? Longevity have to look at, right? Yeah. Accomplishments you have to look at. Right. So accomplishments, we talk about personal one, and then we talk about winning. Winning is like the rings part, right? And then another thing we have to look at is stats, right?
Right.
Stats you also definitely have to look at. So like these are the few of the things that I would say lah. Maybe I think if you want to talk about like eye test or when you watch the play, I think that one is a bit more subjective. And I feel that if we go down the path of like opinion or what ifs, like, you know, Wei Jie will say if you put LeBron James in Michael Jordan's team, he will win 8 rings. And then I will say that if you put Michael Jordan in LeBron James' team, he will win 10 rings. I feel that this kind of argument is pointless because there's no point arguing this, right? It's opinion based,
factual.
So we just talk about like factual, right?
Okay, sure.
Okay, so you can go first.
Sure, I actually done my research.
Bring out the stats.
Oh
bro.
my goodness.
All right. Okay, so the first thing I want to say, you know, LeBron James, like what I mentioned just now, you put him in any team, he wins. You know, and there's going to be a lot of people who say, oh, but he lost so many times in the finals. The thing is, people don't understand going to the finals itself is really an accomplishment. Like you look at CP3 this year, made his first finals. Everyone's like, oh yeah, congrats CP3. And LeBron did it 9 times in a row.
10
Yeah.
total.
Yeah, sorry?
10 total, right?
Yeah, 10 total, 9 times straight. So people don't understand how incredible this is. And I think that's the definition of a winner, of a champion. As much as you guys say, oh, but he lose in the finals. Would you rather he get knocked out in the first round than to lose at the finals?
Okay, so my argument to this is, right, I also don't believe in the 6-0 argument.
Right.
I feel that it's a very casual argument, right? But I believe in the 6 out of 15 and 4 out of 20 argument, right? 6 out of 15 seasons, we don't care whether it's first round, last round or what.
Okay.
But MJ won 6 out of the 15 seasons that he played, including his last 2 years. Okay. LeBron James, we feel that his career is just starting to go down, right? So from now going onwards, it will probably make his overall percentage of stats drop. It's like similar to when MJ moved to Wizards, right?
Okay.
His stats drop, right? So I think going forward, of course, LeBron James can prove me wrong. He can win a few other chips, right? But I feel that going forward, it's probably like a downhill lah. So his stats will get worse, right? Unless he continues getting better, which I highly doubt so. But one thing about LeBron James that we cannot argue about is longevity lah. Right? Longevity stats wise,
right?
I agree. LeBron James, the only other person that possibly can fight him, Kareem. Right. Other than that, no one can fight him. So in that case, I think longevity wise, clearly is LeBron James, including like total stats. All these we count it as longevity stats, right? But then when it comes to winning, 6 out of 15 is still greater than 4 out of 20, right? You want to talk about first round exits? LeBron James has 1 first round exit, right? And he missed the playoff 2 times. Michael Jordan has 2 first round exits. Three first round exits, and then he missed the playoffs 2 times when he was with the Wizards. Right? So in that case, it's not that much difference because LeBron James missed the playoff 3 times.
Okay.
He missed the playoff 3 times, he lost in first round 1 time. MJ missed the playoffs 2 times and he lost in the first round 3 times, right? It's not that much of a difference. It's just 1 first round exit more.
I think you guys should kind of, for us to make these arguments a little bit simpler to understand, right? We should minus like the first 6 to 8 years of each of their careers. Because that's where both of them kind of start taking over the NBA, right?
Where Wei Jie's argument comes from.
Yeah, and
he wants to talk about the first few rounds.
No, because you have to understand, right, that Jordan started winning when Scottie came.
No, even when Scottie came, he wasn't winning.
No, but when Scottie started to become the player that he became, that was when MJ starts to win. Yeah, but for me, my argument is that put LeBron anywhere, he'll bring you wins. He'll be able to win games for you.
But overall his winning percentage is still lower. It's 4 out of 20. How can you say that?
How about we talk in terms of number of finals perspective? 10 out of 20.
But okay, you look at it, I feel that this argument, right, is very recently because of LeBron fans, then they start bringing it up, right? So how many finals did Magic Johnson go to?
I can't really remember. I think it was.
I only know he's a 5-time champion, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
He lost
So,
one to
you see,
Jordan.
Most people only remember this right?
He
Like
lost to Jordan. He
Jordan
lost
5
to
times.
Larry before.
3 times.
Yeah. So
He went to the finals 9 times. Magic Johnson actually went to the finals 9 times, and his career was so much shorter than LeBron's, right? So this argument about going to the finals and then but you don't win it was never an argument, right? No one ever counts a second place, right? I ask you the last 10 gold medals in Olympics. You can probably name the gold medals. Who names the silver medalist? Right? When Michael Phelps won all of his swimming championship, who was the second place? Can you even name? No, because people remember by champions, right? You have to finish everything. You have to I think these finals, a lot of people are talking about CB3 being a top 5 point guard if he wins, right? But then he went to the finals and he didn't win, and that, I mean, overall he still overachieved, but he didn't win. You cannot call him a champion, right? I feel that people are giving him too much credit for going to the finals. Right? And another thing we can look at is his opponents, right? We always want to talk about opponents. Who face the tougher opponents, right? Another thing that we can use to debate who is the GOAT, we can look at the teams they play against and their teammates, right? I don't think there's an argument that who had a better teammates, right? LeBron clearly had a better team. Okay, who is LeBron's best and second best teammate ever?
Dwayne Wade for
AD,
sure.
Probably AD.
AD, yeah.
And then fourth?
Fourth,
Kyrie?
Third Kyrie.
Third
probably
Kyrie. Fourth?
Kyrie.
Chris Bosh.
Kevin Love, Chris Paul.
Alex Caruso.
So where will you put Scottie Pippen in?
I would rank.
I would rank him maybe around Kyrie's level, right? I feel that AD is definitely a better player than Scottie Pippen.
Yeah, I think you gotta give him. I think
on,
that's true. You think?
Come on, Scotty, first team All NBA when he was with MJ.
Yeah, but not all seasons. But he was the only All-Star that played with MJ.
Okay, let me pull this up. You'll continue talking.
But you look when MJ retired and went to play baseball, their team was 55 and 27. You think about it.
Okay, so this argument, right? We still have to look at context, right? Because I can say that when LeBron James joined Lakers winning percentage didn't go up, right? So does that mean he's useless? No, right? You have to look at the context, right? After Scottie Pippen left, people always say MJ has the greatest team. So who are MJ's greatest teammates? Can you name me some?
Luke Longley. You talk about Dennis Rodman.
Steve Kerr.
Kukoc and Dennis Rodman, right?
Right.
So during the season, right, when Jordan left, right, they actually added Tony Kukoc, Steve Kerr, and Luke Longley. 3 players on top of Jordan.
Okay, so I got the stats here. Okay, so this is Scotty's resume. Okay, he's a 7-time All-Star. Let's look at first team now. Okay, he's a 3-time All NBA first team.
Right.
He is a
3 times.
this is I think
bro.
no, but this is the difference between Scotty and AD. Right, Scotty is a 8-time All Defensive first team.
That's right.
Let me read you AD's one. So AD is an 8-time All-Star, so he has one more All-Star appearance than Scotty, and he's still relatively young. He still has at least 3 to 4 good years left. Right. He is a 4-time All NBA first team, so he's more All NBA first teams than Scotty. Right. This is the difference maker. Although he beat Scotty in that, in terms of All NBA defensive first team, AD is only a 2-time All defensive first team. So I think you can kind of make an argument whereby Scotty maybe offensively is not as gifted as AD, but on a defensive end, Scotty is probably the greatest defensive player at his position ever.
Right.
Ever.
Correct.
Right. He's better than the only person that I think you can kind of make an argument that his peak is the same as Scotty might be Kawhi in terms of defensive.
Like I don't deny that. Jordan is really legendary for winning that. 6 finals. Three-peat. Really impressive. But I think we have to give credit to not only his teammates, which I think are really good, but you also give credit to the coach. Phil Jackson.
Yeah, I've been always saying that he actually
he had a better coach. Yeah, there's no argument.
Jordan played with 3 other All-Stars, and the last, so it's like he always has 2 other All-Stars, Scotty and one other guy, and the last All-Star is always Phil Jackson.
Yes, correct.
Phil Jackson,
that's fair. But we cannot say that LeBron hasn't played with any good coach, right? I think Tyronn Lue is a good coach, not at Phil Jackson level, but he's a good coach.
Right.
And when he was at Miami, right, he actually had Pat Riley, not as the coach, but as a like a GM, right? Or the president.
President.
Right? So
I think president.
So I would agree that coach-wise, there's no argument. Jordan had a better coach. But then you cannot completely dismiss LeBron's like coaching staff, right? He's still good. He's not at Jordan's level, but he's still good. But in terms of teammates, I think don't really have arguments, right? If I give you a pick Scottie Pippen and a pick AD, who will you take?
Well, it depends on how the team is built, but I would say probably a pick AD. Yeah, probably a pick AD.
Yeah.
I would definitely go for a pick AD.
Yeah.
Tang asked me this question before. I say I pick Scotty.
Over AD.
I'll pick Scotty over AD. In the modern day NBA. So take for example, right? Let's call Scotty like a Kawhi without offense, right? I think he can go further in the playoffs because in the playoffs you need a ball handler. If you don't give AD, like let's look at what AD had to play with, right? He had the best team he had on the Pelicans was the one with Drew Holiday and Rajon Rondo, right? He never played with Chris Paul, and that's actually that would have been Chris Paul's chance to actually win a championship because it's him and AD. But AD with that team only managed to make it out of the first round. Was it? Or maybe he went to the second round.
No, he never went to the second round.
Right? He was out, right? He and DeMarcus Cousins went out in the first round, right? So it's almost you don't ever see for example, how far do you think Joel Embiid can go without perimeter players? You can't go far.
You need a ball handler.
Yeah. Look at Jokic. Jokic, no matter how good he is, he's actually a ball handler.
Yeah.
Right. And then he only managed to make it to the second round. Whereas if you have Scotty and you give him one more premium player, I think that you can at least go to a conference or NBA final. So I'm not denying that talent-wise AD is better. But just the way the game is played, right?
Or rather you say that he's simpler to fit into teams.
Correct.
But that doesn't make him better, right? Just because you're easier to fit into teams, you can fit into more teams. So if you're building a team from scratch and you don't have a lot of resources, you will take Scotty, right? But if you have unlimited resources, you definitely take AD, right? Because AD's talents and ceiling is so much higher, right? So overall, I think AD is still a better player, right? Then maybe the next one we can talk about Kyrie, right? Where will you rank Kyrie all time after all is said and done? Him versus Scotty, which one will go higher?
Scotty will definitely be better.
Scotty will lock Kyrie down.
The only thing Kyrie has done in his Cavs career was the shot. The shot. That was amazing.
But that was a big shot. And you cannot say that he didn't carry the Cavs, right? There were like a few playoff games, he scored 41 points, LeBron scored 41 points.
Yeah.
Without Kyrie, you can't do it, right?
You don't have to ask me, bro. I picked Scotty over AD. I'm definitely picking Scotty over Kyrie.
Okay. So to me, there's an argument. I can swing either way. I think that's like quite a fair argument, lah. So in that case, Scotty is probably only as good as LeBron's third best ever teammate, right? I mean, Dwayne Wade, we don't have to talk about it, lah. I feel that Dwayne Wade is definitely better. Yeah.
If you Dwayne Wade and AD, you picking Dwayne Wade?
I will think over
in
Dwayne
terms
Wade,
of fit wise, I definitely go for Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade and Scotty, you take Dwayne Wade, right?
Yeah.
Right. I think that's fair.
But like what Kang mentioned, if you talk about fit, so I think that fit plays a big part in it also. And I think another factor we have to look into is also the opponents that you play with. Like you look at LeBron, honestly,
I agree with you.
His biggest accomplishment, I feel, is the 3-1 comeback against the Warriors.
Okay, fair.
So to all the people who say LeBron isn't clutch, no mentality, fair. I think that's a
I think really you cannot argue that LeBron is not clutch now because he definitely is at this point. But we cannot say the same for the start of the career, right? So we look at the overall career. I would still say that overall LeBron is not as clutch as Jordan overall career. Like right now at this point, if you look at this point alone, but if we look at one point in the career, we are talking about like whose pick is higher, right? So okay, we go back to the argument of talking about opponents, right? I feel that the best opponent that LeBron had faced and won is better than the best opponent that Jordan faced and won.
So what do you think is right, okay.
So but you cannot really knock Jordan for that because he destroyed everyone that came. Everyone he faced, he destroyed. He never even went to a game 7 in the finals, right? And do you know that overall, right, the opponents that Jordan faced in the playoffs, right, they have less wins than the opponents that Jordan faced in the playoffs.
No, but the thing is, for Jordan, right, he lost to a prime Magic. He lost to a prime Isaiah. So, and during the series, whereby he finally won his first chip, It was against the
Magic.
Magic or the Pistons.
Magic. First is Magic.
Okay, but you have to overcome the Pistons.
Yeah, correct.
Right, but the Pistons then Isaiah was on a downhill and he broke his wrist during that series. And Magic Johnson, I mean, we all know the story.
But Magic Johnson was the MVP the year before. You can't really say that. And if you look at his stats, right, his stats are actually almost the same throughout the series. And we still have James Worthy and Magic, right? We don't have Kareem anymore. So you can't really say that Jordan beat a old Magic, right? One season before he was just the MVP. Unless you tell me one season he went to nothing, which the stats doesn't agree with, right? But you can pull out the stats, right? So can you please pull
What the stats on what? Sorry?
Magic's finals, right? And he compared against his career averages, right? I feel that there's not that much of a drop off, like. But people always like to say that they like to use the argument that whoever Michael Jordan faced and beat, right, they were old. But the two oldest championship teams, right, that won the championship, right, was actually the 98 Bulls and the 97 Bulls, if I'm not wrong.
Okay, so here are the stats. So Jordan beat Magic in the 91 finals, right? He has the lowest stats. He has the lowest. Oh no. Okay. His stats were Okay, he put up 18 points a game, 8 rebounds, and 12.4 assists. So that's like almost a triple double, almost, right? With the rebounds up.
You can't say that he is behind his prime, right? I mean, obviously he's still in his prime, right? Like maybe 1 year short of an MVP prime, but he's still very, very good player. James Worthy also put up career averages, so I wouldn't say that he was going downhill, right?
Okay, I think for this, right, the only thing that I can really think of, like, if we talk about how come LeBron might have had could have a better resume, right, is simply because how do you think Jordan would have fared against the Warriors team? Because a lot of his losses that he has, right, if you minus away Dallas, I think all of his other losses are kind of justified.
The Spurs one, I don't really think is that justified. The last Spurs.
Oh yeah, okay, it's less justified, but okay, the Dallas one is really the one stain. His loss in the 2000s, right, that finals, I don't even count it.
Don't count.
We don't count that one also. Because if you are that young and you have his second best player was it Mo Williams? No, it wasn't. What's his second best player? Larry Hughes?
No, you're talking about LeBron's team, right?
Yeah, the first time he went to finals, was it Andre
Iguodala's? No, not Iguodala.
Oh, the something. The name is very weird.
Yeah. The center.
He's not Virgil, right? It's Igauskas.
Yeah, Igauskas, correct.
It's Igauskas. So nobody would have been.
He's an all-star. Yeah, I mean,
he's an all-star.
He's an all-star. He's
LeBron made him
no.
He's the European Yao Ming, bro. But he was okay,
he was good. He was an above-average player,
yes,
but it doesn't warrant. I mean, it's still an accomplishment. You bring him to the finals. But I think another side of this argument that you have to look at, right, is if you want to count the number of times that LeBron went to the finals, right, you must also and that he lost against very good opponents, right. You must also count that the number of times he went to the finals, right, because he has fucking shit opponents in the Eastern Conference, right. You cannot only look at he lost, don't count because the finals teams is very good. Then you count that he go to the finals, but you never account that actually the teams that he faced up to the finals is not good at all, right? So that's why I say that overall, right, Jordan actually faced stronger opponents than LeBron in terms of playoffs, right? I think the average wins for Jordan's opponent was like 61, and then LeBron one was like 60 or something, like 60 point something.
Kevin Durant really fucked LeBron up, lah.
But the thing is, I feel like when we talk about just players that LeBron has overcome, right? It's just far greater players. Talk about KD, you talk about dynasties like the Warriors, like the Spurs. Granted, he did lose to them, but I just feel like LeBron managed to win, against adversity and everything. Whereas Jordan's team, right, is more of suddenly, a good team pops up. You know what I mean?
I don't know whether the players then were weaker than the players now, because if you really look at who Jordan was playing against, right, we put them among the all-time greats. Let me list them down, okay? He had to play in an era where Elijah Wan was around. He had to play in an era where it was dominated by the big men. They were still Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaq and Penny.
Right? And it was Sean Kemp and Gary Payton, right? It was Patrick Ewing. It was Patrick Ewing. Right? He had to go through the Knicks. He really defeated teams that had maybe a solid point guard. and a solid big man. He didn't have that big man. He had Scotty, and maybe that played into their strength, whereby they just had Luke Longley or Dennis Rodman that could play D and try to destroy you on the wings. But I think the argument whereby if you were to compare both of their opponents, I think it's difficult to split. We are splitting hairs here, man.
Yeah,
Both
it's very hard to say. It's definitely
we're
better.
splitting hairs here because both of their opponents were all great.
Yeah.
The reason that it takes it back is that in LeBron's era, right, he has allowed people like KD to shine as well.
Yeah.
Whereas
Steph shined as well.
yeah, whereas where Jordan was around, right, nobody else could shine except MJ, because he just stole the limelight in every sense of the word.
Right.
His branding, the way he sold his shoes, from the way he looked, right, looks like a clean fella, man.
True.
Clean fella. The way he dressed, and when we were talking about this when we were having lunch, like the first time I ever heard of a basketball player was like people keep telling me about Michael Jordan, and that was during the Kobe era, right? And people were saying MJ is the greatest of all time. As a kid, I went like, how can anybody be better than Kobe? How can anybody be and people are saying like he's not even near what Michael Jordan had reached. And that point in time there was no YouTube, there was no Wikipedia to kind of look up the stats and everything like what we are doing now. So in my head it was like, there's no way. I only knew Michael Jordan as like, maybe he was a decent NBA player. But as I look things up and I see the stats, I was like, dude, he's
crazy.
He's like so much better than what? Like Kobe tried to be like Mike and actually almost did it, but Mike's Mike. And so now that I think the question that I have for Wei Jie is, if you were to see, let's say MJ existed today, right? And then we saw, and LeBron has done what he did, and MJ did what he did, and they did that simultaneously. So they both existed together, right? And you see that MJ has 6 Finals MVPs. He has 5 NBA MVPs. He won Defensive Player of the Year. And you see LeBron win 4 Finals MVPs, 4 championships as well.
4 MVPs as well.
4 MVPs. So MJ has 1 more MVP. And in my head, LeBron has a Defensive Player of the Year, which they snubbed and gave to Marc Gasol.
But he doesn't have it.
But be fair, man, that was his lah. How can you give a Defensive Player of the Year award, right? Do you know this stat? Yeah. They give the Defensive Player of the Year award to Marc Gasol. And in that year, Marc Gasol was all defensive second team. How does that even work?
I think the voting is different, right? Like you cannot objectively say who is better, right? Like some people, the people that voted for the Defensive Player of the Year felt that Marc Gasol was better. The people that voted for NBA First Team felt that LeBron was better. But just because of that, you cannot straight away give it to LeBron, right?
You know how do you do this? You list down who do you want to be in all NBA First Team. Don't list them by position. Just list the 5 best defensive players. If it's 5 centers, it's 5 centers. If it's 5 wingers, it's 5 wingers. Of that list, who is number 1? That's the Defensive Player of the Year. In my eyes, that's the way to do it. If not, you're going to end up with cases like this. Right. And that wasn't the first time it happened. It happened a couple of years ago. So like there's, in my head, LeBron was Defensive Player of the Year that year. Okay, so defensively, I think LeBron's peak and MJ's peak. Granted, MJ played elite defense for a longer period of time. I think both of them defensively, okay, we can be sure that both of them are not going to be a liability on defensive end.
Yes.
Right. But when you say like what I told Kang, if you're giving me a team, right, and you line MJ and LeBron up, and you ask me who are you gonna pick, I'm gonna ask you what do I have?
Yep.
What do I have? If I have nobody on my team like the Cavs team did, I'm gonna say LeBron. I don't even have a coach, right? I have no system in place. If I really have most of my roster kind of built well, and I want that one dog to take over, right? Because LeBron didn't come into the league as a dog. MJ came in the league as a dog. DOWG, right? So like then you give me MJ, right? I think you can't go wrong with either, but we are splitting hairs here. And if you really want to split hairs, we need to understand that what is the criteria. So we were already saying just now is longevity. Okay, longevity. LeBron has it, right? LeBron has it.
Accolades, Jordan.
Yes,
right?
Yes,
no, but you see, I longevity wise, LeBron has it, right? But longevity at his peak, where he was like, he's so much better than the rest of the league, right? I think it has to be MJ. Just look at the number of league MVPs he has. LeBron is like, he's much better, but only in the last 6 to 7 years have I said that, dude, That was it.
But there were even seasons where you feel that, I think Steph may be better than LeBron at that point. You remember the 2016 where he was the unanimous MVP? People were starting to think like, is Steph actually better than LeBron? Right? And I think at the start there were also like some years there were some arguments that Kevin Durant was better than LeBron, which most people don't agree.
And then there were the Kobe years as well
Yeah,
in the early
correct.
years, where it was when as I already said, I only consider like after the 6-7 years after both their careers started. If you look at MJ, he was the best player in the league by far. Everybody acknowledged that. There were few people that would not say on camera, like Gary Payton or Karl Malone. They won't say on camera, but everybody knew that was that guy. Right? So longevity, I think both sides. So okay, and then we move on after longevity. We go to accolades. Right? Accolades, I think the fact that LeBron is still writing his story, but as of now, I think...
And he has already played more years. So actually he had more chances, but he won less with more chances. In terms of accolades, like we're talking about like first defensive team, Jordan has more. Right? MVPs, Jordan has more. Finals MVPs, more. Rings, more. Right? So I think the only thing that he has more is really longevity things like, he played more seasons, so he had more All-Stars appearances. He had more first NBA
first NBA all team LeBron has more, yes. LeBron has more.
So,
Accolade is definitely
Jordan.
Jordan.
But I think one argument for LeBron is he was put in a shitty situation with a shitty organization. If his greatest curse was being drafted by the Cavs.
But to be fair, Jordan was placed in a very shitty organization for his first 8 years.
No, but his GM was good. If you watch the documentary, his GM didn't kowtow down to him at all. The GM was the GM. Whereas LeBron's case, people can say like he has to become the system, right? But I'm saying if he did not become the system, he had no choice. Right?
Yeah.
He was the victim of his situation. If LeBron did not take things into his own hands, he probably would only have maybe 1 or 2 chips right now.
I feel that actually LeBron would have, I always say this, I feel that LeBron would have done better, right? If he picked the role and he stuck to it instead of doing everything. Because it's very hard when you have a player like LeBron where he's good at almost everything, right? He can rebound, he can be the ball player, he can score, he can assist, right? I think that's the good thing about LeBron. But if he's just, let's say you put LeBron as just a pure scorer, or you put him as just a pure assist, pure ball handler, I think he will do better than running the whole system. I think LeBron as a player, right, when it comes to the biggest problem for LeBron is, right, whichever team he goes to, right, he has to take over the whole team, and the team become just LeBron plus shooters, right? And then that becomes it's very hard because I cannot have a proper ball handler because LeBron is handling the ball, right? I cannot have a very good shooter because I cannot have a pure scorer because the ball is with LeBron, right? And LeBron scores most of the team's points also. So it's very hard to fit a LeBron into a system because he is the system.
But it works.
Yeah, it works to get second place.
We are splitting because honestly we are splitting hairs here.
We are splitting hairs.
Because both of them are great. Nobody is trying to say that LeBron is not great or MJ is not great. Yeah. In my head, it's like
I tell you, I feel that the greatest season that LeBron ever had, and he was when I watched the season, I feel that this LeBron his peak is really close to Michael Jordan's peak. Was the 2018 Cavs season.
The one he banged that shot against the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah.
That buzzer beater.
That season where he was carrying, I gotta say that season it was really amazing. Like he was really so good, right? And that's the peak LeBron that I see, right? But every other year, I mean, he's quite consistent, like other than the choke in the 2011.
Yeah, but that's the thing you see.
I give it to you.
Yeah, if you're a 12-year-old kid, right, and you see LeBron do that against the Toronto Raptors,
no one is better than him.
Nobody's better. How can anybody be better than LeBron? Yeah, there's no way. Yeah. Right, but then if you look up the stats,
but just pulling that into perspective, right? Michael Jordan once said, right, because Michael Jordan once said, if the league allows zone defending, then he wouldn't have had the career that he had. Yeah, I mean, this is a quote from Michael Jordan himself. Yeah. So, and I think that is a valid point, whereby the Mavs were just constantly LeBron, teaming LeBron. But then again, no reason for his failure.
Because he would have to in a zone defense, he will be able to pass. Right. He have to be able to hit the open shot, hit the open man. Whereas LeBron, that's easy. You can never double LeBron because his passing is just too great, right?
And another thing that for whoever that's the GOAT to you is how you define it yourself. And to me, people always say KD is the greatest scorer of all time, but to me, it's very clearly Jordan.
I think it's a very nice segue to since we really decided. It's hard to define who is number one, but I think it's easier to define who is they like to say the Mount Rushmore, right? Like the top 4 players of all time. I think it's quite clear that both of them are in the top 4.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
His question is who's the next two? Because the next two it starts to get a little bit iffy because there are like 4 or 5 players that fall into the same bracket, right? We definitely have Magic
And Kareem.
and Larry, right? I think out of the 3, if we were to rank, Larry would sadly
Larry not so much.
sadly be the last one. You have to throw Kobe in. The problem with Kobe is that he did exactly the things that MJ did.
Right.
Just a little bit.
Not as good.
He was. We already saw this before.
Yeah.
Right. We already saw this way of playing that dog. Even the moves were exactly the same. Like the fade away, the mid range, everything was the same. The work ethic. That's the only thing we have against him. We have to throw in Shaq.
Yeah, Shaq.
We have to throw in Bill Russell. Right. And Wilt. So these are the 7 that are vying for the last 2 spots. Tim Duncan as well. So then that's 8. These are the top 10 players. Am I missing out anybody? Let me think. Okay, if we were to give you Shaq or Olajuwon, which one would you take?
Shaq. Any day. Yeah, I love Olajuwon, but Shaq.
But the argument is that
beast.
the argument was that Olajuwon did it by himself. Shaq had Kobe.
I mean, he had Clyde, but Clyde wasn't picked Clyde, but
Clyde
it was
wasn't-
still Clyde.
If you gave Olajuwon Kobe, man, ooh.
Yeah,
It's close. It's close. It's really
I think
very
it's
close.
close.
Right?
Yeah, but the thing is, Shaq throw the ball into the post.
But
He
in the
did
early years,
anything.
Olajuwon gave it to Shaq.
Yeah,
Shaq couldn't do
Shaq
shit.
admitted- Shaq
He beat them
admitted
in the
it.
finals, what?
Shaq didn't beat Olajuwon in the finals, what?
No, Olajuwon beat Shaq in the
Yeah,
finals.
correct. Yeah, so so I think I agree with you guys. Shaq probably is above Olajuwon. But out of these 8, right, who will you put top 2?
I think for me, it's Kareem and Magic.
Yeah.
Probably Kareem and Magic.
For me, Magic is definitely the third.
Yeah, that's the third one, right?
Third
I
is
agree.
definitely
That's what I'm thinking as well. It's the 4th one that it gets really, really difficult because we are at the same time we are splitting hairs again.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know, but maybe this is
Kareem,
is a different thing. But I feel like Wilt is the 4th.
But okay,
Why will you say that?
yeah.
Because I think it's like I mean a lot of times people say, oh, you put Jordan, you put Kobe, LeBron, whoever in the Wilt's era, you probably average like 200 points or something. But the thing is, you have to take into account in that era, without training, without everything,
And all white dudes.
Wilt is destroying everyone and putting up crazy numbers.
But I think it's very hard to put him because he keeps losing to the same person. Right? He keeps
It's like
losing
kryptonite.
to Bill Russell. If you keep losing in the same era, it's like, okay, let's say LeBron keeps on losing to KD. Always lost to KD. Although KD's team maybe is better, but you always lose to KD. Will you end up saying LeBron is like definitely better than KD if every season he plays?
Yeah, because there are so many chances, right? For everybody knows Bill Russell is your kryptonite.
Yeah.
You had so many chances to say, okay, I'm gonna find my way to get over this hump, but he didn't.
He couldn't.
Right? So the fact that if you lose once or twice, 3 times is okay, but if you were to lose like 7, 8 times, right? It's quite when you lose like that, it's quite hard to put you above Bill Russell. You can't even put him above Bill Russell because Bill Russell gave it to him, right?
Yeah.
So I had a point in my head. What was it? Or it was like I wouldn't give it to Kareem as 4th because Kareem only really won when he had a perimeter player. Like he only won when he had Oscar. He only won when he was with Magic. He never really did it alone, right? So like it's the same case as like if you were to line them up, if you were to line Shaq, Kareem, Olajuwon up, right? Sadly, I would pick Kareem last because Olajuwon showed you can do it by himself. Shaq, I'm not picking Shaq. I'm not picking Shaq after Kareem.
No, but actually, most of the big men don't win by themselves.
Yeah,
I think
I'll
big
say
men is very hard to win by
I'll
yourself.
say it's impossible to win by yourself.
As a big man,
Yeah, which brings me back to the Wilt argument. When you talk about LeBron versus KD, if LeBron were to lose, but if LeBron were putting up 60, 70 points every single night,
yeah, this is the point that I say like LeBron is definitely way better than KD in terms of if you were to rank them in the all-time. Because if you were to switch LeBron and KD in that situation, right, KD wouldn't have even made it to the finals. Honestly, I don't think so. But we shall see now because Kyrie has he has a better team than what the Cavs were. He has Kyrie, which LeBron had. You switch out Kevin Love, you give him James Harden. Plus, you give KD the many years that now he has that knowledge of basketball, right?
right?
Yeah.
right?
No excuses.
So this is the test for
Yeah,
KD.
no
This is
excuses.
right? He has a better team than LeBron. He has the best team in the NBA right now, barring injury, barring
fair.
Kyrie saying he has his sister's birthday to go to, or talking about flat Earth and shit. So I think this is the true test of if KD wins another ring, I think KD puts himself
Top 10.
top 10. Who will you take off that list and put KD in though?
I'll give KD top 10 also.
Hakim?
We have to take one person off.
Hakim or probably Hakim. I think KD is...
We're not putting KD above Kobe. We're not putting KD above Shaq.
Okay, maybe I'm a bit biased and I love Kobe, but to me, he's my top 10, but to me, he is definitely not in that top 5.
The top upper
That's fair,
echelon.
that's fair.
Yeah.
To me, I feel like
7, 8 maybe.
you give maybe Curry one more ring or something, he will probably overtake Kobe in terms of
Steph Curry.
yeah.
If you give Steph Curry one more ring, he's above KD. Sorry,
To me, yes.
I agree.
To
I
me,
agree
yes.
also.
I agree.
To
as well.
me, he has the potential at the end of his career to be up there with Magic. Not saying overtake
I
Magic.
think he's already up there in Magic lah.
He's-
I think he's the
yeah.
second
He's top
best.
15.
He's
Top
second
15.
best point guard of all time.
Yeah,
I think clearly.
but there's a chance he'll become best point guard of all time.
I was thinking that he was third until I really thought about it and Kang Liao were talking to me
insane.
about it. I was like, I put Isaiah over him. And the more I think
Isaiah.
about it, I was like, the only thing that has it against Steph is that he never played big in the finals.
Yeah.
He's a regular
But he
season
wasn't
player.
a scrub. He wasn't a
Yeah.
scrub. And I think that also ties into like the Warriors team, right? The 73-win Warriors team. Actually, if you look at it, right, the 73-win Warriors team, right, is a good regular season team. But in the playoffs, they weren't really that great, right? They almost lost to OKC.
Yeah.
Right. It's like 3-1, right? And
Yeah,
it's
3-1.
KD's fault and Westbrook's fault that they cannot finish it, right? But if you look at the stats alone, they are a good regular season team. Doesn't mean that they are a very good playoffs team.
I
right?
agree.
And when they face LeBron in the finals, honestly, if I give you LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love versus Draymond, Clay, and Steph, I mean, it's quite easy to pick the Cavs side, right?
Right.
So, in that sense, is the achievement a bit overrated?
Definitely not, bro. Definitely not.
I think it's a great achievement, but
But you have to
people
look-
are saying it like they overcame something that was impossible to overcome.
It is impossible.
I think with KD, it was impossible to overcome. But without KD, I don't think it's that much of a stretch to say it wasn't. Because, okay, we look at the season before. I believe that if Kyrie didn't get injured, Kevin Love didn't get injured, right? LeBron would have won. Without two of those players, right? LeBron actually won 2 games, right?
Yeah, his best player was Della Vadova.
Yeah. So, he actually, I mean, if he won that year without Kyrie and Kevin Love, he overcame like massive odds. So, you'll say that, or maybe he's greater because he overcame something that is impossible. But you're talking about a full squad with Kevin Love, Kyrie, and LeBron. And then you talk about a full squad with Steph, Clay, and Draymond. Steph, Clay, and Draymond as individual players themselves, right? They are, I think they are definitely not as good as LeBron's side. But they are the better team in terms of like the system. They play better, right? But if let's say I give LeBron whatever he asks for, LeBron is like the GM. All the players that he asks for, he gets. And then he still loses. Or he barely wins, right? Is it really like a impossible odds to overcome, right?
I feel so. Because okay, honestly, I feel that once you drop into that 3-1 hole, whereby no team has ever overcome that deficit before.
In the finals.
Yeah, in the finals, and you just destroy it.
It's like if I drop you into a
amazing.
very difficult situation that nobody has ever managed to dig themselves out of, right? I throw you into the deep end and say, no, you gotta come out yourself. Nobody ever has came out.
And
But he did it. It's a very big accomplishment. I agree with you there.
And I think a lot of people criticize LeBron for not having that mentality, but that is mentality. That 3-1.
Fair.
Yeah.
He dropped then that text late at night. He said, when they went 3-1 down and said we are gonna win this. I mean, and he came out big lah. He came out big.
Is it? I mean, sometimes I feel like he shouldn't even be in the 3-1 hole. Because he's
Yeah, no,
really
I understand what you mean. Also, he shouldn't even put himself in that
Yeah.
situation. He should have really. He should be the one 3-1 up.
Yeah.
No, but the thing is, when you look at the Warriors play, right? I mean,
They played significantly more games that they were struggling against OKC. Eh? And they were the one that were 3-1 down against OKC. Eh?
yeah, but the thing is, you have to look at how the team is built, and like you see, KD is OKC. KD is the Warriors kryptonite. When you look and Russell Westbrook, KD counters the Warriors.
KD is everybody's kryptonite, bro.
Okay, makes sense.
He's even LeBron's kryptonite. If I already painted a story to Kang, and I already said this many times before, and then you can come back and say LeBron is the one that started it. But if KD did not go to the Warriors, right, LeBron could arguably have 6 right now.
No, but if LeBron didn't go to Miami Heat, he would
Correct.
maybe
You would have said that LeBron is the one that started it. But I'm saying that if LeBron, if KD, and that was LeBron's move to Heat, right, was weak. But KD's move to the Warriors is the weakest move
I
in
agree,
history.
I agree.
That
Yeah,
was
I
weak.
agree.
Right?
That was weak.
But you cannot discount the Miami move. At that point, the Miami move was the weakest move.
Correct. So, but the thing is, it was trumped by KD's move, right? So if let's say let's not think about who started it. But if KD did not go to the Golden State Warriors and LeBron has 6 rings now, arguably and those 2 finals that he goes to, he will probably be the finals MVP. I don't see Kevin Love winning it. Kyrie maybe, but the odds-on player to win the finals.
But then, okay, let's say we go down this road. Do you think that it diminishes the meaning of the 73 win finals? Because I already showed that clearly I am better already. Right? It's my fault that we are even 3-1 down.
Correct. So you see,
we are a better team.
So you see, it changes the series of events. If LeBron wins that 73 Warriors team, right, and let's say the next season they meet the Warriors again, he beats them again, right? He goes to another finals. Might not be the Warriors. It might be, for example, might be KD with OKC still, right? And he beats them. Technically, we won't be seeing Steph in this light where we put him in the top 5 point guards of all time because he only has 1 chip, right? Right? We wouldn't see KD as in the limelight now. KD will have no chips. He will have to win it at the Nets right now. And so our present day Michael Jordan would clearly be LeBron James. Clearly.
He is.
Right.
When you talk about best generation players, right?
Best this generation. Best player this generation.
Jordan, LeBron, no debate.
Yeah.
No debate.
No, but that's the slight criticism that I have of LeBron, because there were some points where you were starting to question it. Right? During Michael Jordan's reign, right, no one ever disputed he was the best, right? People, for a moment, they thought, maybe Clyde Drexler is better. And then he go in and destroy.
Yeah.
Right? But for LeBron, like, I think for 2 seasons, people were really questioning, is Steph really better than LeBron? Right? Like, I think winning a unanimous MVP says a lot. Like, that means that season, right, no one at all thought that LeBron was better than Steph.
No, I think there's a difference being the best player in the world versus being the best player
in your position
at present. You know what I mean? Like I've always think that LeBron is the best player. Even today, whereby you just
Hell no.
Okay, sorry, not today.
Do you see they asked the
Yeah, I
GMs,
saw.
then nobody
LeBron
voted for LeBron to be considered the best player in the world. He said, if I needed any more motivation to go hard next season.
Washing. Okay, anyway, brings me back to the point. Like even in that season, I mean, Jordan, he didn't win MVPs every time.
Yeah.
Because they are definitely better
There's the voters
players.
fatigue.
Yeah, players with better seasons, better teams. So this is a similar thing for LeBron. I feel if you are being honest, LeBron and Jordan each will probably have like 10 MVPs. Let's be fair. Yeah. So I feel like, LeBron's peak, whereby he's consistently up there, right? Best player, or maybe off season, but he was never out of top 2, top 3.
Yeah, therefore.
Yeah, same thing with Jordan. So
Therefore.
So I think both of them is really amazing.
So you talk about accolades, Jordan wins, right? Longevity.
He wins. Longevity, definitely LeBron.
Then we talk about stats now. Hand it to me, the stats.
Oh, okay. Stats wise, when you talk about efficiency,
Hell no.
LeBron has him on assists and rebounds. MJ has him on efficiency and points.
Points, blocks, steals, everything. We count like the stats that NBA counts, right? Jordan leads in points, steals, blocks, and free throw. Right? LeBron wins in rebounds, assists, field goal percentage. Right? Jordan still wins in more categories.
Points also.
Points?
Yeah.
Jordan wins in points.
Not points per game, but
All
points
game,
all
not talking
time.
about all time. Because all time is the longer you play, different. Like no one says that. One says that Malone is a better scorer than LeBron, right? Than Jordan, right? No one else says that.
But do you know what's the scary thing? That if LeBron really wanted to be the scoring champion every season, he could be. That's the thing. Like LeBron doesn't go as hard.
Correct.
In
That's why I say that if LeBron chooses to do one thing and he sticks to it, I think he may have had a better career. Because I think he can do a lot of things to very high level. He can do a lot of things to very high levels, right? But if he can play not as the system, but he can join a system, right? It's so easy to fit him into any team. Like he can go to almost any team. He don't have to revamp the whole team. Now you see, right? When LeBron goes into a team, he has to revamp the whole team. You look at the Lakers team, right? We don't count the injury. When he first went into Lakers, right? We take off the injuries. His record was probably like 500, right? When he played, right? And then he had to trade the whole team and then revamp the whole team to put a team around him because he cannot join a team and just play in that team. He has to revamp the team.
Let me ask you this question: If you take Phil Jackson off the Bulls, how many chips do you think MJ would have?
I really don't know.
Definitely less than 6.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
really don't know.
Right? He probably would have lost some of his
That's
finals.
really a big factor.
It's a very big factor.
No, I don't think. Okay, to be fair, I don't think if the Bulls were the way it was, right, I don't think they would have lost because they were good enough to win. But I feel that Phil Jackson was the one that convinced Michael Jordan to get into a system, right? Because the first few years where Michael Jordan was getting knocked out, right? He was a very good player. He scored average 37 points a season, right? But he was the ball hawk, right? He wasn't playing in a system. When Phil Jackson came in, he was made to play in a system. And I feel that playing in a system is very important for winning. Look at James Harden. When James Harden was, I don't think you can win like that, like as a
Yes.
ball hawk, right? Right. So the fact that LeBron can win 4, right, as sort of like a ball hawk, right? Although he passes very well, right? But majority of the time
He's
the
the
ball
system.
hawk. Yeah, he is the
He's
system.
the system.
Okay, but honestly, in the Heat, he wasn't really much. He was still the system to a certain extent.
They couldn't win until they told him that LeBron, you have to take over. You have to be the
Dwayne
system.
Wade had to sit him down.
Yeah,
They were in the Bahamas and said, he told LeBron, no, you are the man right now. But even then, you could see certain points he will let Dwayne Wade take over. He'll give it to Chris Bosh. He will hit Shane Battier for the open 3. But I think really, if you gave LeBron Phil Jackson, right, this whole narrative would change.
Yeah.
Precisely.
But I mean, we don't really want to go down there.
Yeah, that
because
what ifs,
you
right?
can't really say what ifs, right?
you
Like
can't.
if we give Jordan all the players that LeBron have, we can also say Jordan would have won, but we can't really talk about what ifs, right? We can only talk about what happened.
Okay. So I think let's go on after LeBron and MJ, right? I think we haven't reached a definitive. It's very difficult to if it's set in your head that this is the GOAT, right? And this is the best player you have ever seen.
So has it ever managed to convince you?
I mean, to me, I always feel like I have my own perspective of what is the GOAT, whereby I feel like I think from my answers you can kind of think that I think how someone plays.
It's more of more things. He can do more things.
Yeah.
Your perspective is what he has done. Weijia's perspective is look at what he has done, even though so many things were counted again.
Because,
you know what I mean?
Because I just feel like circumstances play a part. Whereby we talk about Wilt just now, which is why I put him in my.
But you can't say that. Okay, when you talk about circumstances, right? We talk about the teams he has and the teams he played against, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has played with better teammates, right? And we talk about overall playoff record, right? He played against worse teams, right? And he still won less overall.
I mean that is subjective. Whether the worst team, better teams.
I mean, okay, we talk about how we can measure it, because how do you say that the Warriors team is good? Because 73-9, right?
Okay.
You look at the regular season, right? So when we talk about regular season wins, right, in the playoffs, right? Jordan has won against better teams there. If we talk about pure regular season stats. Yeah. Overall, Jordan won against teams, right? Average 61 wins. LeBron James
61% of their games.
No. 61 wins in a season on average.
In the finals lah.
No. On the whole
Like
playoffs.
regular seasons. Yeah.
That's crazy.
No way.
Yeah. Okay, you can go look up the stats.
Because if you go in the first round, there will be 500 teams, right? There will be a
correct.
500
That's why that links to my point where LeBron James, right, he played against lousier opponents up until the finals. Because the teams that he played against, right, weren't that good. Until the finals, then where LeBron faced really hard teams because the East was very weak. So if you see, actually he played against better opponents with weaker teammates. So I mean, you cannot really count circumstances, right? Plus, you must say that LeBron, everywhere he goes, he demands the players that play with him. And I think another crazier stat is if we talk about teams that Jordan played in the playoffs and won, right? The difference is even bigger. Because I think they lost against the Mavs or this. We really counted against them. I think the stats is quite... Bro, it's clear, bro.
Got it here, man. Yeah. So Jordan faced a tougher playoff path. MJ's own team average win is 58.38. LeBron James is 55. Average net rating. How do they calculate that though?
I'm not sure about everything.
Oh, playoff opponents. Okay, LeBron's no lah, bro. 53.54 makes more sense because that's impossible to go through
Finals, is it?
playoff path. Average win rating by LeBron James and their playoff opponents.
Yeah.
Correct. Because it's very difficult. 61 win team, right? That means he's on average. 61 win will be the number 1 seed in your conference.
Yeah, on average, I mean, if you win, you definitely have to play the number 1 seed. But
correct. But you're playing the 8th seed at the start. If Jordan was always the number 1 seed, right? Most of the time his team will be one of.
Wait, I'm pretty sure my stats are correct. Wait, let me check it out.
But it's very difficult, Kang, because he's not playing against if let's say you play a team that is 500, right, in the first round, you will need to play a team that is 100. That means win all their games to balance out to 61 wins.
Correct.
Which is very difficult, bro. It's virtually impossible. You understand what I mean?
And and
it's impossible.
That argument also, like, you have to talk into account why is the East weak? Because LeBron is still good lah.
Hell no. How does that make sense?
Okay, anyway, I got all stat here. Okay, LeBron has faced the number 1 defense 8 times in his playoffs in his career, and 7 of those teams they are in the East, and he averaged 31-9.
I think on average the East defense is always better than the West. Maybe that's why the West is so souped up. Like if you think of all the West teams, they're not known for defense, right? Portland,
Golden State.
Golden State in their peak, they were known for defense, but more so that
more offense lah.
Yeah, why?
Why is suddenly the mic?
Oh, is it your one? Oh, I think maybe that one ran out of
battery. Is it?
Battery. Yeah. Take this.
Sorry.
Switch number 4 and number 2. Switch number 4 and 2.
No, 4 and number 2.
Plug out 4, put it into 2, and then you should be fine.
Oh yeah. I'm talking about finals.
Yeah, it has to be fine. It's very difficult to be 61. Yeah. It's impossible.
So on average, Jordan's finals opponents were harder.
On
average, which is even crazier, right? Because LeBron's path to the finals was considered the easier path.
Who do you think is the next one? Who do you think is the next one up though? Like
Luka.
Everybody thinks it's Luka, right? I have
Luka.
Do you think Giannis has a shot? He really did one.
I mean, he's the one up now lah. I feel that now is Giannis' time.
But I think we talk about eventually being able to, can go into that stratosphere.
Like the top 10 stratosphere, right?
I feel Giannis definitely has the potential to go.
Yeah.
I mean, he has, but in my head, it's like Giannis is like a Wilt or a Shaq. Right?
Like
he's modern day
faster.
Shaq.
Yeah.
But if we talk about Luka, I always equate him to like a little bit of a Larry Bird with more handles and
He's an amazing man.
Yeah. So I think it's these two. Then you have who else? Zion. What do you think about Zion?
Not for me, yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
I think so.
Not really for me.
I think because he's not a ball handler.
I think he's dominant.
I think he's at a very awkward position where he's big but he can't play as a center. Right? He can't really shoot.
Is he okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he can't really shoot. Then he can't play as a center because he's undersized. So he has good size, but when you put a center, like maybe you put like Steven Adams or this, I think he won't be that hard to shut down. I think that he's a good player, he'll be above average, like all-star definitely, but come to like all-time great, I think
how much
wouldn't be top 10.
How much do you think about it is like not just his body shape, but you don't see that dog in him? Like you can see Luka wants it.
No, I feel that he wants it.
You feel that he wants it?
I feel that he wants it.
He doesn't give me that vibe, maybe because he's in a Pelicans jersey, that's why.
I think Zion haven't yet reached that level.
He haven't. But you look at it, Luka first season, he was a beast.
Straight away.
How can the Atlanta Hawks... I'm not saying Trae Young's a scrub, but he's not Luka.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I know he went further in the playoffs, Trae went to the conference finals, but come on, just based on the eyeball test, right? You can really tell clearly Luka is a generational talent. Trae is like a Steph Curry with he's not as good at shooting, but his passing is there, and he's a liability on the defensive end.
But okay, I think the argument for this is that European players generally don't do that well in NBA. So that's why some GMs, right? I mean, you are proven in a European league, but when you come over to NBA, sometimes it's like a very, very, very big difference, right? So that's possibly why, right? Like in terms of Trae Young, he's more like proven already. But for Doncic, he is more of proven in Europe, which people always tend to. I mean, maybe NBA GMs tend to really look down on.
This is one thing that when you watch the Olympics, then you realize, no, dude, it's a global sport already.
Yeah.
But I think there's still a reason why a lot of the European players don't make it to the NBA, right?
Well, you can kind of make the argument that now it makes more sense because the NBA is a little bit more European style. More three dudes that may not be jump the highest, but are just fundamentally very sound. They know where they are supposed to be. They can find their spots. They can be very good, very very good role players. Because in America, everybody wants to be that ball handler. The Europeans are like,
correct.
No,
They just
man,
want to win.
I just want to shoot, man. I'm going to shoot, play D, and I'm trying to win. I think that's one thing that Greg Popovich got on too early. That's why he always brought in people like Manu. He brought people like Boris Diaw. His whole team was like Patty Mills. Come on, man.
Even their star player was Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
Right?
He's not even from like US, you know. He's like Virgin Islands. Yeah, so he wasn't born in like a US town. That's why Tim Duncan is like he marches to the beat of his own drum. Like you can tell he's not a city boy.
But the European wave is gonna get stronger only.
But he's good.
It's good.
He's good.
Yeah, it's good.
That means more talent in the NBA actually.
And when we watch the Olympics now, it's going to be at least something to watch. You know?
Yeah.
True.
Like I'm thinking like when will it be that the first in Southeast Asia will be the Filipinos, in Asia will be China. How many more players? Like China basketball is such a big thing. Maybe they're not blessed with the genetics that can make you go to the NBA. But in terms of the number of people they have, they only could produce a Yao Ming so far. Jeremy Lin maybe, but he wasn't really a home.
Far.
Not that guy. But Yao Ming is that guy, right?
Yao Ming, you can say that he's a all-time great, right?
Yeah, do you see this?
Other than that, I mean, you will never say Jeremy Lin is all-time great, lah.
I saw.
You listen to this already?
Bullshit.
The one you talk about.
Yeah.
Why after the argument?
It's damn bullshit.
Sanity. Because I've been getting my ass kicked ever since you left. So just for my own personal sanity, how much did
I saw this.
against the Clippers
You said it's the GM's fault, right?
Yeah,
to
damn bullshit.
ultimately lead the Warriors?
It wasn't the argument. It was the way that everybody, Steve Kerr, act like it didn't happen. Bob Myers and tried to just discipline you and think that would put the mask over everything. I really felt like that was such a big situation for us as a group. The first time we went through something like that, we had to get that shit all out. I remember watching The Last Dance, and when Scotty didn't go into the game, the whole team in the locker room said, "Scotty, that was fucked up that you did that."
Honestly, I think they will have won. He would have stayed if that thing didn't happen.
And say, "Yo, Dre, K, like that was fucked up that we even had to go through that. Let's just wipe our hands with that and go finish the task." I don't think we did that.
Yeah, I think KD would have stayed with the Warriors.
Possibly.
He said he was ready to move on, but come on, who doesn't want a 3-peat, yeah?
At that point, if he stayed, it probably would have been a 4-peat, right?
Yeah, who's going to stop them? Nobody.
Yeah, maybe Clay's injury.
Even with Clay injured, Steph and KD, Draymond is enough already in my eyes. At that point in time, like that level of competition, who else can stop them? Yeah?
I just think it's damn bullshit.
What do you mean?
Yeah, like what they talked about just now. How can you blame it all on the GM and the coach? Whereby, as players, you guys should really settle it yourselves. Right?
I think that's the
Take
point.
it as men.
No, I think that's their point. They say that the GM should have let them settle it themselves, not pressure them. I think what he said is Bob Myers forced him to apologize, like forced, right? And then it got a bit awkward. And then by punishing Draymond and
right?
then
Suspended.
Yeah, after they don't talk about it. I think there was like always a gap because they didn't give the players the chance to settle it themselves. Yeah, I think that's the gist of it, if I remember correctly.
It was like they argued because Draymond didn't give KD the ball, right?
Yeah, correct. And then KD said, "Why you didn't give me the ball?" And then Draymond said something like, "We won without you," or something like that.
Draymond turned it over.
I think it was the last shot. It was the last shot.
Yeah.
Okay, like if I was KD, I'd be pissed as well.
Yeah.
I think it's Draymond keep thinking he's the shit.
Yeah.
But he's really...
I mean, but that's what makes him him. If he didn't have that
this
mentality, because he's honestly
he's
not blessed with
particular
anything.
good. Correct.
I just find it annoying. Like whereby he kind of...
That's his whole point. He doesn't want to be liked, bro.
No doubt that he's a great player. Amazing. The way he... But it's just sometimes things like that.
Yeah.
His ego get the better of him.
Yeah.
I mean, he went a little bit too far with this one, right? You gotta give that ball to KD, man. When the Tarantulas stand there, you gotta give it to him already.
Actually, he reminds me of a successful Patrick Beverley.
True. Now Pat Bev is traded to Grizzlies, right?
Yeah.
That means Ja Morant is gonna have a dog with him, at least.
But they took away who from Ja Morant?
No, Grizzlies. What? Eric Bledsoe is from Pelicans, right? So
I think Grizzly traded away a good piece.
Valanciunas to get Steven Adams, yeah. Which is weird though, because you kind of want to clear the pain for Zion, right? So why would you put Steven Adams inside?
It's weird.
Doesn't make sense.
It's funny, you remember when he said to Curry, the next 5 years are mine.
Yeah.
What did he say?
Next 5 years are mine. Then Curry said that you're already 31
Yeah.
or something.
And now he
Okay, let's move on to another topic. Let's not talk about basketball. I have one very juicy topic about it. Who do you think? What do you think about this Logan Paul and Tyron Woodley fight coming up?
Jake Paul, you mean?
Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley fight coming up.
I think it's the most legit fight so far.
Yeah.
Honestly, his first few fights, I think it's bullshit lah. Right? You fight someone that, I mean, okay, we talk about other fighters, right? Even other fighters, when their first few matches, you can say that they didn't fight against good opponents, but they were fighting against legit fighters, right? It wasn't something that they picked it up just for this and then they never touch it ever again, right? You look at Nate Robinson, never fought a day in his life, right? Then you look at Ben Askren is a wrestler. He can't strike for shit. I mean, you watch the videos of his training, you know that this guy's got to get wrecked.
Yeah.
But I think Tyron Woodley is a decent striker. So I would say he's the most legit fight.
No, but I remember their size difference was
huge. It was huge.
Look at the size difference, bro.
Yeah. But that's why I think that Jake Paul still has quite a significant advantage because he's trained in boxing. Although Tyron Woodley is trained in fighting overall. But I think MMA and boxing is very different, right?
Very different.
Very, very different. So
I look at their size difference, like, dude, honestly, I think Jake stands a good chance here.
yeah, same. I think he does stand a good chance.
And Tyron Woodley is really, I wouldn't want to call him washed because he's one of the greatest welterweights of all time, but he lost four
in a row before.
4 or 5 in a row in the UFC, and that almost never happens. Like, you never ever see somebody at the
Fell
top,
off so high, right?
top of the hill and then just plummet down like that. Like, Tyron Woodley is one of the greats, but he's smart lah. He picked the opponent like Tyron Woodley because he's on a gradual build up.
Yeah. He want to build up his record, which I mean it makes sense lah. But you cannot pick opponents like Nate Robinson and who's the other?
Ben Askren. Was it Ben? Was it? No.
Yeah, it was Ben
Askren,
Askren, but there was another YouTube guy before that, right? Like
KSI?
No,
No,
KSI
no,
with
Logan
Logan.
Paul.
Shit.
Yeah,
All of them up,
KSI
bro.
Logan.
there was some other YouTube guy that never fought a day in his life and then he just beat them.
It was his first match.
Yeah, that's quite.
But if it's his first match, and what if he lost, bro? Like, we never even knew he could box.
No, but like I give the Paul brothers their credit. Honestly.
For what? In terms of like bringing entertainment, I give them credit also.
And then I just think like, from YouTube whereby they are like they take everything as a joke, everything. Now actually I can say like, Jake Paul is actually at his level at least. I think he's a pretty decent fighter.
He is a decent fighter.
He definitely, he will fuck us up. Like,
I'll give him props for
I
that.
feel that because he is a decent fighter, he shouldn't pick opponents like that. Because you're at a point where people start thinking, oh, you're a decent fighter. But whenever you go on stage and you fight someone, right, it finishes in 1-2 rounds because everyone, like, he's giving people have the excuse to put him down. When if he fought a good fighter, right, and he beat a good fighter, right, people don't have anything to say. But he picked wrestlers and he picked like,
bro, he gotta milk that cow,
YouTubers.
bro. He gotta milk the cow for everything he's got first. And at the same time, like if you look at the entire boxing scene, right, people are discussing whether this is good or bad for boxing. They're saying like they are disrespecting the sport. But actually, I think they're kind of they're giving a middle finger to all the boxing promotions. Like, yo, what the fuck are you guys doing? You're not giving the fans what they want. Like, you do not, when people want to see Errol Spence versus
Crawford.
Terence Crawford, right? Because they are all under different arms and different promotions, they can't get the fight.
Yeah.
Whereas Jake Paul is saying like, dude, I'm just
Fight
gonna
anyone.
make the fight. I'm gonna make as much money as you can make. I'm gonna give the fans what they want, right? Like my YouTube fans what they want. And then I'm gonna make a shitload of money. It's like, guys, let the politics get out of the way. That's the beauty about the UFC. They can mix and match whoever they want to see and give the fans what they want.
I think if Jake Paul takes a few better opponents and wins, right, he will be able to climb up to fight the title contenders very fast. So that's the thing that I feel is like a bit waste time, right? Because before we look at the Ben Askren fight, we know there was no way Ben Askren was gonna win. You look at him during his training camp, he can barely strike. right? There was no way he was gonna win. You look at Nate Robinson, there was no way he was gonna win.
Some
Come
Wing
on.
Chun shit.
Yeah, so Jake Paul is a decent fighter now, right? At his level, he's a decent fighter for a fighter with like three, four fights only. Why not pick someone that is a boxer? He has never fought a boxer. Can you imagine a boxer that has never fought a boxer before? How does that make sense? At least you just pick a boxer.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be very good. You know, who's the Tyson Fury's brother that wanted to fight him? Right? At least pick a guy like that, right? He has not like maybe 7 fights under his belt, right? And he has a few losses, right? It's good to start with boxers, right? You can't get.
I think he's still in his very early stage. That's why, bro. I think that cow is still full. He hasn't reached that one fight where he knows he might lose, and that's where the money train stops. Now he knows that people are still into it.
Yeah.
People will still
He's
tune
milking
in.
it, lah. He's milking it.
You have to milk it, bro.
Yeah, but in terms of, I mean, like what you said, right? The point where why the different promotions don't want to fight, they're also milking it. So in a way, are they destroying the sports? Because right now, right, what people want to see is Jake Paul versus a boxer, someone that is
Right.
You feel that there's a chance that Jake Paul will lose. That's what the people want to see. But because you want to preserve that 0 record and build up his money, which is what the promotions are doing, right? They want their fighters to fight across with each other because they want to build up their own stats. And then, in a sense, it's just doing whatever people are doing, right? To pad up your resume before you take one big fight, even if you lose it, and then from there on you don't get as big fights. At least you cash in one time, right?
But
I think that's
what
the mindset.
what his brother did with Floyd, I think was really quite impressive.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fact that you can stay in that ring with one of the greatest of all time, and he's not fully over his peak yet. Like Floyd came in shape. He lasted the 8 rounds. Was it 8 rounds? Pretty easy.
But I think from that fight, right, you can see that actually, I think weight difference plays
Yeah. Definitely.
a major role, man.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think Mayweather was never even close to knocking Jake Paul out. Right? But Mayweather was always under the threat of getting knocked out because maybe 1 or 2 huge punches, right, would have KO'd him. Although, because for Mayweather, come on, he's one of the best of all time. There was no way he's gonna lose, lah. But the weight difference really made a very big difference when they fought, lah.
Just need one strike to connect.
Yeah. So
Good night,
I think that fight actually,
Puncher's chance.
that fight actually made me realize, like, what people always said there is 0 chance that Logan Paul will win, right? But that fight, when you look at it, I mean, there were moments where I was scared, lah, for Floyd Mayweather.
I say there's 0 chance that he could knock Floyd out. Whether Floyd could knock him out, that is different. You know what I mean? Like the real question was, could
correct.
Floyd knock him out?
But when I watched the match, right, there weren't really chances where Floyd will knock him out, right? Like he was taking the punches like it was almost nothing.
Yeah, it's like when a baby punches their daddy, right? They feel shy. Like the bigger man can take the bigger punch.
True.
Right? All this, like people try to say like, okay, that's why I'm impressed with Logan. Because if you were to throw in somebody that is way bigger but didn't know how to box, Floyd will fuck him up.
True.
Right? The fact that he could stay in the ring, granted he was gassed in the last 2 rounds, but he still managed to stand up, fight to the end, did not get knocked out. And people could say they were hugging out the last two rounds. They were just
Cashing
full bromance mode, but he still managed to
cash.
last. He still managed to last. That was super impressive, man.
Yeah,
That was
so
super impressive.
Easy money, man.
Yeah. So that's the next fight to look forward to. Jake Paul with Tyron Woodley.
Yeah, we were watching the Manny fight just now, and pretty sad lah, Manny.
Yeah.
Pretty sad. But Father Time is undefeated, so we can't really say that much about. Oh yeah, another topic. Let me think. What do you think about DeeKosh, man?
It's the end, you know what they say. It's the end.
Yeah, I think once the police comes out and says they're gonna charge you, means they probably have enough evidence against you already.
Yeah, I think personally, definitely he'll get at least some jail time, right?
Yeah.
There's 7 charges or something like that.
I just feel like it's very
Hypocritical.
hypocritical. Because you talk about Eden Ang,
Yeah.
the way he bashed Eden Ang, and what he did was way worse. And after the entire incident, he still said that.
He denied everything, right?
Yeah, deny everything. And now there's like evidence found.
Yeah, because he likes to
Talk shit about people for doing this.
stand on a moral high ground, right?
Yeah.
Right, and he's a very big part of the cancel culture. Actually, he's like one of the main guys that his opinion matters.
Look at Ida, he just disappeared.
Yeah, his opinion matters, and he sways the way people think about the narrative in Singapore vastly. And when the thing that you are criticizing people for, or you
You are doing it.
perform, and when it comes to when it comes to kids, like nobody fucks around anymore. You know?
Yeah.
Like if you are just one that, you know, you are a fuck boy, you like to fuck around with girls that are of age, and you like to bluff stupid women out there, then people are alright, because as in it's legal,
enough,
right?
Yeah, they are grown enough to make their own decisions.
Yeah, but when you fuck around with kids, that's when people get a little bit iffy. And that's not to say like when people ask me about cancel culture in Singapore, cancel culture in general, I always say, dude, that's bullshit lah. Like, you are allowed to make mistakes in your life. You should be given a second chance. And the thing now is that people who can say they cancel DeeKosh, right? But in my eyes, it's like he's gonna do time probably, right? And you can't be in that line of work of giving your opinion on the narrative of how people perceive people in Singapore, while at the same time you are doing that shit. That's not how it works.
Do you ever think like sometimes when the saga came out, right? Actually, I was thinking like what was going through his mind when he was saying all this. Like, it's a bit bizarre, right?
Like, it just came off a stream talking shit about
like
people like that.
You're saying all these things, right? But you're doing the exact same thing. Don't you feel that one day you'll get caught? Right? I mean,
actually that's true.
Come out,
right? I mean, he was sending like secret chats to people, and then
it's not like one two person. It's like so many people. I mean, there's one day it's bound to come out one day. Right?
Actually, brings me into perspective, Mr. Chris Wu. You know what I'm saying?
I have absolutely no idea who the fuck is that. People have been speaking about Chris Wu and
You
shit.
don't know what happened.
So I read out of this kind of
Chinese. Last time he was from some K-pop band. Then he made it very big in China.
Super big star.
What was the scandal?
I think people compare him to like a Harry Styles of UK. Right, his fame level in China is that level. Yeah, because I think he was in quite a few Hollywood movies already. I think Triple X, he played one of the roles. Right? So he was very big already. Yeah.
What did he get convicted of? I
think also similar like
way worse. It's like he
drug some girls and then
spiked their drink.
I think he didn't do it himself, but because he's so famous, right? And whenever he meet fans, all this, I think I read somewhere they exchange numbers or something like that, and then invite them to parties. Then his henchmen will do the.
So he went in knowing that they were underage, lah.
Yeah.
He like tried to lure them or like say, we want you to be in a music video.
Promise fame or this, girls, like young girls or I mean young people in general, they are sucker for this kind of things. So.
This never ever. That's the funny thing. If this were to ever happen to like a young guy, right, you have zero sympathy for the young guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it was like an old woman preying on a 16, 15-year-old boy, right, we were not like, I wouldn't be like, oh, how can you do that? I was like, there will be some people in society. I don't know whether I will be the one, but we'll go like, dude, that's fucking good. You got like free shit, you know. But if you flip the narrative around, it becomes a girl, then that's where it's not okay. And I think it makes sense lah, because based on just how vulnerable it's like. For example, when you hear a girl, like when a girl goes on exchange, right, and you see them go on exchange alone, inherently you know it's a little bit more dangerous if it was a guy going on exchange alone.
But I think this comes down to physics also, right?
Yeah.
Like, right. So let's say I'm a guy, right? If I go, I always use this example, like if I'm a guy, I go to a club, right? If I don't want to do anything with a girl, right, there is very little ways that the girl can do something to me, right?
You can just overpower them.
Yeah, I can overpower them. But flip it around, you can't really do that. That's why I sort of understand why girls need to be protected more, right? But in the case of, I mean, of course, you have to look at like how it's done. Like if you spike the guy's drink, all these kind of things, then I mean, there's no way the guy can do anything lah. Yeah, but I mean, in terms of being protected more, maybe there are some arguments to it.
What kind of girl want to spike a guy's drinks, yeah? Like you could get a guy easily.
No, the thing is, Chris Wu is like Justin Bieber.
That's true.
Why you want to do this to get girls? You can
There are other girls queuing up right for
precisely.
Right, maybe it's that thrill, you know.
But do you feel that some of the girls actually wanted it?
Definitely.
Right, they wanted it, and then when they
knew that they were being spiked.
No, I don't think
spiked, but
maybe
they
not.
went in. I mean, okay, let's be honest, right? If a guy gives you a number and asks you to come to a party and you actually attend, right? I think there's a decent chance you are prepared that something will go down, right? I'm not saying that what he's doing is right, but I feel that there will definitely be a number of girls that wanted it, and then when it turned out this way, they just flip it around, or they're done with that part of their life, and then they just want to make some quick fame.
Yeah, I mean, I respect women, but I think sometimes people, they are taking advantage of the Me Too movement
which
to
I think
just
is not
gain
right.
fame and everything.
Actually washes the the true motive.
Yeah,
right?
right.
When it comes to a point where people don't really even want to identify as a feminist, I think that does more harm to the movement.
It's funny when the feminists go against each other, like they self-destruct. Yeah, I think Singapore is still okay lah. You know, there are people that are too woke, but it's not too many of them where it gets to a point where like it's overwhelming.
I think sometimes it's swinging to the opposite direction for Singapore, right? Like do you experience it when you apply for jobs?
Yeah.
There are like a lot of roles, right, that are specifically designed for females, and they're pushing the narrative that females, this role is for females only, right, to keep like the culture diversity. What do you feel? What do you think about this?
Because I honestly I've heard a lot of stories about, especially about some jobs. When you take into account, but they take the girl for the sake of diversity and stuff like that.
I think if it's like a fair argument where both of them are as good as each other, right, and you prefer the girl, I think that's fine. But I think in some situation where I think we have a few friends, right, like when the resume put out and you can see clearly the resume of what they have done and the comments after the interview where they have to pick one and they gave it to the girl because
she's a girl,
right? Then I think that's not very right lah. I mean, what they are trying to do is because I think they feel that there's not enough girls in this working environment now. But in the long term, they want to include more girls, so they artificially boost the number of girls in now. But
how will you feel if now they take now because take for example, right, we flip the narrative around, like there are more girl nurses out there. Like there are more women nurses, right? Then now when a guy applies to be a nurse, and there are a lot of guys actually applying to be nurses, let's say.
And then the guys get priority.
And the guys get priority instead.
To me, I feel it's not about more of a gender thing, but rather it's like what you said, circumstances kind. Yeah, but now
What do you mean?
Like you see, in the nursing industry, they need male nurses. So of course they're bound to take in more male nurses. Banking, you need more females. Of course, you're going to take in more females. Yeah, so to me, I think the messed up part is whereby you don't judge them based on their job.
Yeah, I think I know what we are not okay with. We are okay with if you're based on your merit, you get in. And just that. We are not okay with, people like to make the argument of, there are not enough women in this industry, for example. There are not enough opportunities given. But what they are really driving at is they want equality of outcome. When there's actually not equality of effort, there's not equality of qualification. And in fact, there are certain jobs out there that are inherently
better for males or better for females.
Like, take for example, construction worker.
Yeah.
Can we have 50-50, 50% of male, 50% of female working in the construction industry?
Right.
No, just based on the biological build of the male and female, right?
But you see, no one complains about the jobs where no one wants to do, right? It's always about the lucrative jobs, right? Like I think I watched some video, I think about Jordan Peterson, right? He actually states that what we should go for is actually the equal opportunities, not equal outcomes, right?
Equal opportunity and people that based on your effort and your merit.
Right.
But then you have to, and I think this is the argument that the feminists would say, which I think is a valid argument. You have to have equal opportunity from the very onset when they are kids. So when you go to school, you get the same amount of education. When you go to access to like educational levels, but then that's the thing, is very difficult to split this up because even within the guys, the male faction, right, there is no equal opportunity.
Yep.
People that are from richer families have better access to resources, right? Their parents are highly well connected. We all know, right? So even within the male faction is really not equal. How can you equalize? It's very hard to equalize throughout the agenda. Right? So this I think the diversity hire part, right? I think for Singapore it's still not so bad because we all have kind of the same access to education. Right? It's quite fair to say. I don't think this is a hot take. We all go to relatively good primary schools. Even the lousy primary schools,
it's still not as bad.
It's still not so bad. So there's still a way that you can get in. But when we reach to a level where we all go to NUS, and then we have friends that they know that they are not being hired because they are giving it to a diversity hire, that's when it's kind of fucked up.
But then on the other side, right, a lot of people, a lot of guys, boys, they are making news of this, right, to mask their failures. I have a lot of people, or I have a lot of very capable female friends, right, who has no doubt, right, has what it takes on. but you can just see other guys' comments, just like
Or just because he's a
just
female.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it
that-
goes both ways.
Yeah,
But I think what we should really focus on is that it must be because of merit, right? It's not artificially.
correct. So I mean, we have to judge based on merits.
I think that's why they're trying to fix it. They're not trying to fix it from the bottom up. They're trying to fix it from the top down. It means by giving equal outcome, right? Hopefully, it will give
Equal opportunity.
give equal opportunity. But that's not how it works, you see, because there's just inherently some things that guys do better and girls do better. I do not know whether, for example, banking is one of those industries. That I do not know. But I know that. All I know is that there are people that are more qualified than other people that are getting the roles, and they are not getting the roles simply because they are giving it to role.
specific gender.
Correct. That's all I know.
That's not right.
That is not right. Right. That is. I think everybody can agree upon that. Right. And maybe it's a failure by the system because there are not enough opportunities out there for for these people to get hired. Maybe if you have even more jobs in the finance industry, for example. But this is not the way to go, lah. This is ultimately it will impact your bottom line.
Yep.
If you're worried about your bottom line, that will impact because your quality of your worker's job.
Yep.
Ultimately, lah. Okay, lah, guys. We are 1.5 hours in. I think. How was it? How was the podcast?
It's so the good debate, huh?
MJ,
We get on Adrian, then we continue lah. Talk about other stuff lah.
I already say already, right? Accomplishments, MJ.
Okay, wait. So if LeBron wins a ring this season,
This season, I mean, it's still the same. The accomplishments doesn't change. MJ still has more accomplishments, right? And this season, the teammates of LeBron is better than any teammates that MJ had.
yeah, and when they lose, right, then everyone will start bashing Russell Westbrook again.
Yeah, I mean, it's both ways, right?
LeBron better win.
Yeah, I feel that he
Not me.
better wins, lah.
He better win.
I mean, it's a good, if he wins, right, there's only, I feel that at this point, right, talent level wise, right, only KD's team can match LeBron's team in terms of talent.
If-
Yeah, okay.
Right? If they
That's fair.
but that's the finals we need. If they don't give us that finals, right?
Wow.
It's very hard.
We'll be so
excited.
bummed out. Like if everybody stays healthy, right, and that is not the finals we watch right next year, we'll be so bummed out. Yeah.
Honestly, I'm damn excited for next season.
Truth. I think next season is the most exciting season in a very long time because not just we have two super teams, but the teams that are right below them are super good as well.
Bulls.
Milwaukee.
Yeah, exciting.
Yeah, your hot take is what? Bulls top what? Top what
Four
seed?
seed.
Top 4 seed.
That's not that
four
hot,
seed.
lah.
Bucks.
I mean, you look at the Eastern Conference team: Bucks, Philadelphia, and then who else?
Heat. No, Bucks,
Nets.
Nets, Heat.
Nets. Okay, these three, right? And then
Hawks.
The other three, I mean, Hawks
a lot,
definitely
bro.
not as good as Bucks.
Celtics.
Celtics was shit this year. Right?
Celtic is good this year. Sorry.
What?
No, Celtic is
Didn't
good.
get
Gonna
any-
be good the coming season.
How you know?
I just know.
You got insider news.
Jalen.
Richard Nicholson told him, man.
So
Richard Nicholson told him.
I mean, Celtics didn't really add any big players, right? They got a point guard, and it's so we can buy.
The point guy is Dennis Schroeder,
what the fuck is this Dennis Schroeder doing lah?
the one who fuck up his life. He's too confident in himself.
He rejected a $80 million contract to sign a $5.9 million contract. What is he doing lah? This KSI. KSI. Okay lah. I think we'll put an end to this podcast. But thank you, Kang, thank you, Rizia, for coming on.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks, Nigel.
Ladies and
Thanks.
gentlemen, thank you for listening to the podcast. Okay, let me try and play the music. Okay, bye guys.
Bye.
Love you.